All right, everybody, thank you very much for coming. And welcome to another episode of Beyond the Breakpoint, episode number 2. We're blessed to have Jacob Murad with us today. He is a partner and associate at KPA Law and Blue Star Equity Group. And we're going to have Jacob, instead of me introducing Jacob and butchering it all, we're going to have Jacob introduce himself and tell you what he does on the day-to-day. Jacob, thanks very much for being with us, and please tell everyone a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Matthew. I'm one of the managing partners of Blue Star Equity, which is a family private equity professional services firm. We own a number of different professional service type businesses, and what I mean by professional services is accounting, lawyers, wealth planning, and so forth. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for about 11 years. And I also manage, as you mentioned, KPA lawyers, as well as a group of law firms. That's kind of the legal arm of the business, which is one of the many different branches of Blue Star Equity, which is at the top.
Got it. Interesting. That's great. So can you elaborate a little bit on that? So what other facets of law do you have other than, I guess, it's wills and estate planning, or is there other?
Yeah, so under the legal arm, we do wills, estates, trust, litigation, family, real estate, and so forth. We have
Yeah.
5 locations across Ontario. We're expanding also to the United States.
Oh,
And
nice.
what we find with our clients is many times when you're speaking, a lawyer is the last person you talk to when you have a problem. For
Yeah.
example, if you want to buy a house, the lawyer is the last step in this long process of buying a house. You have to get a mortgage, you have to get some financials prepared, you
Realtor.
talk to brokers, a realtor, and so forth. So you speak to all of these professionals ahead of time. And so we've aligned ourselves with different professionals. And in some cases, there are other avenues within the Blue Star Group. For example, we have under Blue Star CPA. And this is a group of CPAs, accountants, who will help get your financials in order and so forth, and will work with the people in the legal team. We also have
Oh, I get it.
financial advisors as well. So we're trying to become this kind of one-stop shop
Shop.
for
Yeah.
professionals to give services to our clients and the community in which we operate.
No, I love it. That's great. I do see the synergy of how it all works together. As you know, Jacob, I've had a real estate license for 25 years, so I'm one of those guys that used to be back in the day at the forefront, and then, oh yeah, by the way, you got to have someone close the transaction. So I totally
Yeah, and
understand
and
when
a,
you.
and a lot of times, these professionals, whether it's in real estate and so forth, they come at odds sometimes, whether it's ego or different priorities or whatever. So it becomes very hard to, let's say, close the transaction and so forth. So another idea of the one-stop shop isn't just that you can service, it's that the professionals are working together to help you
Yeah,
as opposed to competing with each other to help you.
yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
kind of the dream, so to speak.
Well, okay, that's a great segue into my next point, actually, which is, can you tell me a little bit about what a typical day looks like for Jacob Murad between Blue Star and KPA? Because you've got to manage both in essence, right?
Yeah, so okay, I'll take each in turn. So from the KPA side, the idea is I visit each of the offices. I check in on what the underlying lawyers and staff need. Maybe they need some training. I check in to make sure that the lights are running and the business is growing and being profitable. I also find different business development opportunities. For example, one area in which we've grown is through the acquisition of retiring lawyers' practices. Lawyers
Interesting.
are retiring, they
Uh,
need a place to sell to go. So I offer a program with which to take over their practice, right? So that's kind of one way in which we've grown our geography. The other the other way in which we grow is that cross-selling across the other Blue Star um, entities. And I'll talk a little bit about, okay, well, what do I do from the Blue Star standpoint? Blue Star, in a way, is like another client. What do some of the other areas need? What are some other areas in which we should delve into? Should it be property and casualty insurance? Is that something that we're seeing a lot of influx of clients in? Maybe we should get into that, for example. And
interesting.
we try to make deals there. And then there's also a fund whereby if you're looking at alternative investments, you could also invest your money into that fund. And we have two such funds as well. So these are different kinds of areas in which I kind of play a role, and I sit on the board of the different levels and discuss at the high level. So I have kind of an operational role and a board level.
Got it. Yeah, interesting. So that's a full day for Jacob, it looks like.
Yes, yes, especially traveling to the different offices. That's a full day.
So where are your offices? I never asked you. You're in downtown Toronto, I assume.
No, actually, we have Avenue and Wilson. That would be our Toronto office.
Yeah.
So we call it our North York office, but Avenue and Wilson's right at the beginning of Toronto.
Yeah.
We also have Mississauga is actually our headquarters. We
Oh,
have
wow.
Collingwood. We have Sault Ste. Marie, and I'm missing one. Hagersville, sorry, the most important one. Hagersville, which is near Hamilton.
Yeah, I know Hagersville. Yeah.
It's in Haldimand County.
Where the big
Yeah,
tire fire happened, if I'm not mistaken.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
right, yeah.
That's where we are. Yeah.
So listen, from a geography perspective, this always amazes me, given my own 25-year background within real estate and development in the construction industry, property management, etc. I can understand Downsview / North York. I'm there too. I get that. I totally get
Mhm.
Collingwood with the high net worth that's over. Like I get that play. What's confusing me with your decision for the offices is Sault Ste. Marie. Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
So as a general point, a place like Sault Ste. Marie, Hagersville, or Collingwood, these are smaller communities, and they're not serviced that well. There, some of the professionals there, whether accountants, lawyers, and so forth, they're actually getting older now, and they're not maybe taking as many clients. Maybe they're retiring, so they're actually very lucrative from a business point of view because the clients themselves are looking for access to justice, as we call it in the community, which is basically, I need a lawyer, and I need a lawyer in the community. How can I go and how can I get my will done? And there's just, I don't want to drive. If uh, let's say you're in Sault Ste. Marie, I don't want to drive to Sudbury. It's 2 hours. I don't want to do that.
Wow.
I want a nice local place, and so that locality we find a lot of success in,
Isn't that interesting?
like Hagersville.
Right.
So that's the area. The other thing is when I had acquired KPA was actually the first law firm acquisition that we had done. We had done many acquisitions in other industries beforehand, but as a law firm, KPA was the first, and it already had several staff members who lived in Sault Ste. Marie. They didn't service it in a big way, though. They didn't have an office. They just had staff that happened to live there. And
So
I
is it
thought,
like a
okay,
satellite office for you, Jacob? Is that what it is?
so well, now we've invested into it. We've invested
Right.
in marketing and in an office. So now there's actually an office there. It's not just a staff working virtually, which it was before. So there
Right.
was always a touch point there, but it was never really invested in. And since we were seeing a lot of success with the local communities at the time, we thought, okay, well, we already have a presence there. We should invest there in a real way because that's where there's a lot of growth happening there.
Yeah. So you scaled it up. No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So that's actually a great segue into my next question. You're like on par with me. You're just
Oh, perfect.
it's great, Jacob. This is great. I guess what everyone's kind of wondering, and you and I touched on this before briefly in our call. Industry trends within your industry right now, within the legal profession and the CPA and the professional standards industry, what are the major shifts that you, Jacob, at your level are seeing right
Oh, there's a lot. Where do I begin? Okay, so there's a personnel um, um, okay, on the client side and also on the employee side, there's personnel changes. On the client side, the personnel changes are such that you have and we've talked about this, a transfer of wealth from founders and business owners, small business owners who have grown their family, grown their farmland, for example, and are looking to retire and pass it to their children.
now? Right.
And so we're now making connections with the children and away from the original founders who are now retiring. So that's kind of the first thing, that kind of transfer of wealth on the client side. From the staff side, we're seeing there's a lot of professionals coming out of the schools and they're younger but their expectations are very different, right? They
Mm.
expect that, they look at social media, they're looking at each other, and um, I think I read a Hayes report saying that the average in the industry, whether it's legal, accounting, any professional services industry, they stay at their jobs for an average of 2 years now. So the idea of people staying for 10 years, 20 years, all with the same company. No,
Yeah.
everyone's looking for the next best thing. So that's an industry trend. Ironically, with that churn comes, I mean, there's always people available, and then there's always spots available. So you try to slow down that churn as best as you can, and it's difficult, but that's another industry trend. And then the last industry trend, and again, we talked about this, is AI and how that's kind of how to what extent do you use it at any given time, and then train your staff and your clients how it should be used, and then you have to adapt and go with it like any other software, whether it
That's
was
right.
the internet or the fax machine. So we have to kind of figure that out.
Life did exist before the internet. It's hard to believe, but it did. I
Yeah,
date
exactly.
myself, but I can remember that. But it just made everything infinitely easier and more efficient, right? So I completely agree with you. I think with the emergence of AI, and I know that you can speak about this a little bit more, Jacob, in details. From a legal perspective, where does it get used? Where is it appropriate to be used? And what facet should it be used? And where should it not be used? I think that's where a lot of businesses are kind of struggling right now to figure that out. How does
Hmm.
that apply for you in the legal space, Jake?
Um, yeah, it's exactly what you said. To what extent and how should it be used? I'll focus on legal only because I just know this area the most because that's where I spend my time.
Mhm.
Um, uh, in the in so maybe you've read many articles about it's something weird that's happening with AI, and ChatGPT is hallucinating laws or hallucinating cases and things like that. Hallucinating, in other words, making things up. So you type in, I want to know some case law about this because I'm going to trial, and it gives you some cases with citations, and it sounds very professional. And lawyers are getting into a lot of trouble submitting that to judges. And when they ask for more backup and try to find the cases, they don't exist. So they're getting hit with
Mm,
huge penalties and they're losing their cases. This is happening all over North America. So, making sure that if you're in the litigation space, you can try to rely on it, but don't rely on it. It needs to
right.
be checked. Now, a lot of major firms, you would have, let's say, younger junior associates do the research instead of the technology. Whether it's a technology doing it or a student doing it or an associate doing it, the lawyer who's in charge of it and who's responsible still has to look it over and make sure it's right.
They have
So,
to vet it. They got to vet
they have
it.
to vet it. So they can't blame the technology. And you're seeing a lot, see, ChatGPT, it's this, or AI. It's like, well, hold on a second. Who's actually at fault here? And it calls into question what value a lawyer actually provides. What are they supposed to be doing here? They're supposed to vet and strategize and so forth. That's on the litigation side. On the transactional side, we're seeing a lot of it where we have clients calling us up. They give us a contract that was created by AI, and they'll say, I just look it over and make it fine. But lawyers are not, we're not document creators. Maybe that used to be the case where only lawyers can draft a will or only lawyers can make a contract. Nowadays, and frankly, it should have always been the case, that the contract itself is a reflection of a strategy and a tailored approach to solving a problem. And so you can't just give me a contract and say, does it look good? No. Well, what problem are you trying to solve? What are you trying to accomplish for yourself or for your business? And let's talk about it. Maybe you don't even need a contract. Maybe you
Right.
need insurance or and so forth. So these are the types of things that internal training with my staff. Hey, are you solving their problem? Don't just draft a contract for them. They can do that themselves with AI.
Yeah.
Solve their
Yeah.
problem. And if you staff want to use AI, you can, but you can't rely on it, going back to the first point. So I know it's a big verbose way to say it again, like all software, calls into question what value are you providing? What are you getting paid to do? And the software should just make that easier for everyone, but it doesn't replace what you do.
That is fantastic. You said that because that kind of brings me to my next point, which is looking at, so if Jacob Murad is to sit there and look at the Blue Star side and then the KPI side and understand how, let's say, AI has been, how could it impact Blue Star and KPA in a positive way. How do you think Jacob can use that?
Well, we are using it in a positive way, not to produce the actual technical content that we need to produce, like a will. We're
Right.
using it in the kind of the business side of things, both on both levels, whether it's Blue Star or KPA. Um, Business development, for example, sales and marketing, aligning it with social media to make sure that, something that would have taken hours and a whole department to create social media posts and videos and so forth to help drive sales and content to your business, drive fundraising to the fund and so forth. Now you can utilize AI so that you can produce much more faster and analyze it in a much better way. And that's how we're doing it. So not using it on, let's say, the technical,
The case
hey,
law.
I'm going to solve the case law, stuff like that. You use it to on the more administrative sales and marketing, use it on that side. And we found that it's been very helpful on that side because it interacts very well with Google, with social media. It
Yeah.
interacts very nicely with these programs. And there's, yeah, so far we haven't seen any issues with using it in that way, and we've seen a lot of people that are just as successful using it in that way as well.
No, that's great. So that, I guess, going with the theme of Jacob just absolutely crushing me and stealing my thunder on
Oh,
everything.
I'm sorry. Maybe
I'm
I'll stop talking.
no, 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 no. You've been fantastic. I had, as you know, I had my previous podcast with Hope Meadow, and sometimes it could be like, leading. You're just right on point, which is fantastic. I was going to ask you what's working well right now for Jacob Murad and the partners at KPA. What's the thing that you would say is probably frustrating you the most?
Yeah, I would say, okay, so what's working well? I think the I call it we call it cross-selling. Maybe that's not the right term, but the
I know what
cross-selling
you
is
mean.
working
Yeah, I know what you
it's working very well in that, okay, someone comes in, I'll be very specific. Someone comes in, they want to update their will.
mean. Okay.
It's Make a Will Month in November. So everyone people are updating their wills and they come in and as they're talking, why are you updating your will? What is it about your will? And then you get a little bit more into your life because you have a trust built there. Okay, let me introduce you to somebody in one of our other facets, and because you might need some life insurance at this point in your life. And then we introduce them to someone from our insurance group.
Right.
Things like that we call cross-selling.
Yep.
That's actually working very, very well. The sales and marketing with the use of AI, that's working very well.
Yep.
uh if it wasn't working well, I wouldn't be. I mean, I film videos and we have a YouTube channel on KPA and so forth. I'm a lot more shy. I don't really like doing these kinds of videos, but for the fact that it is working.
Well,
So
thank you for
that kind
doing
of
it for me,
business.
Jacob. I appreciate
Yeah, there you go.
it.
Business development, it's working with AI. The cross-selling is working. The acquisition piece, where again, professionals are retiring and we
Yeah.
are finding a place for them and growing very quickly in that way, that's working very well.
That's got to be
What's
a
not
huge segment in our market, though, Jacob. I think the succession planning and the retiring professionals. I, if I were a betting man, I would say that over the next 5 years is gonna be exponential. It's gonna be huge.
Yeah, and we're seeing that everywhere, not just with professionals. We're seeing it in almost every business. That's that transfer of
Yeah,
wealth I was
interesting.
talking about.
Yeah.
The professionals it's an area that I guess is close to my heart. So I can see a lot of growth opportunities for ourselves.
Mhm.
So that's why we're kind of getting into that in a big way. Um, so yeah, so all of that is working very well. I think what's not working very well right now is again okay the over reliance on AI. Okay, we need to make sure that we have internal policies such that we do connect with AI, but people do not rely on it too much, and that
Ah,
clients don't think we're relying on it too much. That's very important. So, how
interesting.
much, to what extent you should use it, I think that's hard. And we're going to work on that in the next year. And again, that churn of staff. Okay, hold on. We have people that are coming in. They're coming on board. You train them. Um, how can we make our place a desirable place to work and hang your hat over the next 5 to 10 years of your career?
Right.
Um, these are areas that, again, it's not just my firm and Blue Star and so forth. These are areas that almost every business owner I'm speaking to has that same problem. So how can we make the lives of our staff better, and create a much more fulsome culture?
So it's kind of improving the employee experience, corporate culture, looking at the wants, the needs, and the desires of humans who are your employees, not just, I mean, salary is salary. We all need to make money. We all have bills to pay. Nothing's getting cheaper. We all get that. But it's what else is the company giving me that allows me to go and build my career? And is that a fair comment? Is that kind of what you're
That's right.
saying?
That's right. I tend to think that if there's nothing else, um, that might help, not just the business owners, but the people themselves who, again, coming out of school,
Yeah.
expecting this, looking on social media, competing with their friends, okay, always in the job market. That's something that I'd say is always, it holds every business back.
Mhm.
That kind of that churn, whether it's the staff or clients or whatever it is. How do you slow it down so that you can continue to grow at a really nice rate?
Right.
So yeah, those are the positives, and those are kind of
Well, I totally get
that's
that.
that's kind of what you deal with, right?
So looking at, I mean, I guess you've already told me which metrics you're focused on improving. We've already kind of gone over that. So I guess what I would ask you, and I'm asking all of our guests, is in the business sector, we all know what our Canadian market is like right now, Jacob. We all know that there are some, difficult times that we've seen with our Canadian economy. So keeping that in mind and keeping what's working for you in mind, where does Jacob Murad want to see KPA and Blue Star be 6 to 12 months from now?
Um, you know, I hate to say it, just to address the concern about our market today. I always think that market, everyone knows this, it's cyclical, right? So
Yep.
whatever downtimes you're having, it'll come back. But that's why we're expanding to other countries, because it helps diversify that risk a little bit. So when
Mhm.
you're asking, okay, so where do we want to be 6 to 12 months? It would be taking a bigger footprint in another country. Let's say it's the United States, for example, where we take a bigger footprint there, and we continue to invest in AI and social media in a very large way. So you touched on metrics. Something else we touch on is the return on investment, ROI, when you
Yeah.
invest in marketing dollars for advertisements. Um, you know, how many clients are you getting back? How much are they paying? What services are they getting? And we're measuring that all the time. So what's success in 6 to 12 months? It's, did we expand our presence in another jurisdiction, right? With maybe different rules and different issues, but different opportunities as well. And did we grow our client base organically, not relying completely on acquisition, but did we grow it? So we're hoping to get to 100,000 clients, up from the 40,000 that we have today. That would be kind of a 12-month goal that we would have.
So, okay, this is super interesting, and if it's okay, I'd like to ask you to expand a little bit on it because where my brain's going is, I totally get the idea of Jacob and KPA and Blue Star expanding to the U.S. Many of my clients and other people I've spoken to are already there in Florida or Texas or various more red states, to be honest, that they are seeing,
Mhm.
if you're on the real estate side of things, a little bit more favorable from a tax perspective. Um, so but I would think that on the, well, and again, I'm deferring to you. Okay. So this is just me talking. But my mind would say law in Canada under Canadian law, KPA understanding it, making the move to the US, there's got to be some kind of regulatory change too, because the way that their constitution's set, their laws would be very different from our laws. How does KPA and Jacob manage that if they're moving into that new country with that new footprint?
Sure. And that's a good question. On a basic note, I wrote and passed my Florida bar exam. I'm
Oh,
waiting to
congratulations.
be, thank you. I'm waiting to be sworn. I have a couple more hurdles to go through. But you're absolutely right. There is a different set of rules, different set of taxes, different set of regulatory issues. Um, but like any company that you buy, again, Blue Star, we used to buy. we used to be very much in the construction industry, and we got out of it. But myself and my family, we didn't know too much about construction. We knew a little bit, but the problem we were having is on the sites. If you have a tradesman and they
Yeah.
work on an air conditioning unit, they're talking about it. We don't know anything about air conditioning units.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm using this as an example to tell you that it doesn't matter what industry or what are the laws or the rules or the technical knowledge that you require. There are people there that know how to do that. And so long as you defer to their knowledge,
Yep.
they know how to do that. We can oversee and make sure that it's being done and learn some of the rules. And that's more of a knowledge acquisition type of thing.
Mhm.
But like anything, um, again, if we wanted to buy any type of business, it could be accounting. Accounting rules are different there too. Whatever it is, you have to learn that and get people in place that already live there. It's not like we're all moving there. We're not. We're staying here. When I say expand our presence, it's um, uh, get relationships and acquire relationships and technical knowledge of people that currently live there that know it already. So you don't have to um, kind of reinvent the wheel, so to
Understood.
speak.
Yeah, no, that I totally get. And you're absolutely right. If you're at a C-suite level or you're on the macro side, you have people that can handle the more, day-to-day minutia, whatever it is, whether it's an office manager or something else that you would put over there, right?
Right. Um, and the important thing is, to your point, on a macro level, what is there a similarity, not from a regulatory or a technical, like, is there similarity in the type of business that it is? So law firms, whether it's here or in the US, at least that I found with my research, they're very similar. A lot of the problems are still the same, and a lot of the opportunities are still the same.
Agreed.
So if you know how to operate and grow a law firm here, you know how to operate and grow a law firm there.
Right.
Small changes in regulatory, maybe on marketing or maybe on certain things that you can and can't do, and that's fine. Those are easy to learn. But where you have issues there, you also have opportunities. For example, tax rules are different. The prices of things are different, and the sheer amount of people are different. We're very small.
Yeah,
Ontario
there's
is
small
very
market.
small. We're small. A place like Florida, which, I mean, a state like that, that's just one of the states, and it's growing rapidly. There's tons of people there, and they all
When you
need
when you
services.
think about it, Jacob, our country is only what, 40 million now, roughly 41 million, something like that, if that,
I suppose. I don't
right?
know. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I can tell
Well,
you it's not a lot.
the state of California is literally our entire population, right?
Yeah,
So it just shows you that the United States of America, in terms of market share, it's literally, 10 times bigger than us. We've got
that's right.
40, they got 400 million, right? So
And whatever you think about politics or the trade war or anything that's going on right now, at the end of the day, like you said, it's a market share issue, right?
right.
There's more people. There's more. There's more.
Yep.
And so if you're trying to grow a business, and if you're trying to diversify risk of your business, looking just next door, and it doesn't have to be the U.S. It could be another country. Uh, I don't know, England, I suppose, wherever. You could just look at another country. Just going back to that first question you had of, well, what do you think of, Canada and, and the market and so forth? Well, really the best thing to do is to continue investing where, wait it out, but at the same time, diversify your risk by investing um, externally.
Yeah.
That's, that
So
helps.
you mentioned the business goal of looking at 40,000 clients under management and scaling that up to close to 100,000. By virtue of different methods, whether it's AI or it's buying businesses in Florida or Texas or wherever that expansion happens. If if I was a genie and I could come and give Jacob Murad a magic wand, okay, to wave over this and try to improve one thing, just one singular thing that you think is holding you back from getting that goal, what would that one thing be?
Oh, that's
I got
you
you.
know what? People.
I
I'll
got
say
you.
people. Yeah, you know what?
People.
People.
Wow.
People is
Okay.
always. It's never so much capital. I mean, the only thing that stops any business from growing is capital and people. So in our case, capital is not so much the issue, it's people. Finding people. making sure those people have the technical knowledge and the skills, also like the people skills
Yeah.
to help you grow. That's the hardest thing. And we spend a lot of money on internal training, and I spend personal time on internally training the people that we're onboarding so that they know our way of business, and then again stopping the churn. So yeah, people is that's in a professional services business. I suppose any business, but really highlighted in a professional service business is like a law firm or an accounting firm or any of these types of businesses I'm talking about. Getting the right people in place, that is the biggest. We can have as many sales as we want. Um, remember there was a point this past year where we had um, you know we had more sales than we knew. We had to go and hire the right people, and
Yeah.
we had to actually
Services.
stop our sales activity
Oh
just so that
God.
we can get the people in place. So when you're saying what would stop you if you can wave a magic wand, it would to make sure that we have the right people in place. If we have the right people in place, then the sky is the limit in terms of being able uh to grow the
That's,
business.
you know what, Jacob, I gotta commend you on that. That's really interesting because most people it's the other way around. They don't have enough business for the people they have, right? So
It's a
um
fortunate problem.
it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So take it and run with it, I would say. But so just if you could for 1 second, do you think that expanding on this topic here about people and capital, do you think that the people's solution or situation, staff, recruiting, corporate culture, keeping them, reducing churn, is that an industry-wide phenomenon that you're dealing with, or is this something maybe more specific to KPA or and Blue Star or just the
No,
itself?
it's definitely industry wide. I would even venture to say it's beyond industry wide. I mean,
Wow.
if so, it's certainly legal industry, certainly. I'd say from a broader category of professional services, in other words, like the service industry, I would say it's that industry wide. It's at that high level. Corporate conferences, executive conferences, that's what they're talking about a lot of the time. You know,
Mm,
when we're talking about okay, hybrid workforce and getting people to go back to the office from COVID,
yeah.
why do you think they're talking about that? Why does it matter whether they're in the office or working from home? Who cares? The actual answer is okay, well, how do you create a culture and how do you hold people accountable, but at the same time, giving them the flexibility that they need? That's why we're always talking about the same topics. When people are talking about work-life balance, mental
Mhm.
health issues, sleep issues, they're only talking about this in the sense that, yes, raising awareness for sure, but also so that employers, because these are executive conferences, employers are aware of these issues and are aware of how to build their business in a way so that the influx of people doesn't stop. Good people doesn't stop so that you can continue to grow your business.
Interesting. How many people do you have on staff right now, Jacob, at KPA and Blue Star? I don't think we covered that.
About 50 across all the businesses.
50 across all the businesses. Okay. Um, listen, uh, I promised you I would do this in 30 to 40 minutes, and I
Oh,
don't want
that's
to keep
okay.
longer. I could keep going. Trust me, I've got about nine more questions, but I'll save them for another time. Um, Jake, Jacob, this was fantastic. So thank you for sharing these insights with me and with our audience.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Cheers.